folks, how are we doing? It's Shabash, it's Hero of Aethric, and in this video we're going to talk about how to get Gauntlet Keys in Aethric, specifically as a early tier character for new players, because there are a number of dungeons located around the world of Aethric that require at least one Gauntlet Key to enter. Some options like boss mode or hard mode require more keys, and higher tiered theme dungeons even require more than one key as well. For example, the tier 10 Valley of the Gods dungeon requires 20 keys just to get in as a solo player. Dungeons are first unlocked for us at level 50, sorry, that is tier 3, level 50, and mainly because of the Seeker Mara on the main story questline asks you to complete a gauntlet. And gauntlets are effectively another name for dungeons. It's a little bit of crossover from Orna, the main game, where you actually had a gauntlet available in your character menu. That is not available in Aethric. So starting then from level 50 onwards at tier 3, you can start to get gauntlet keys and start to enter dungeons. And dungeons are essentially a series of monster or boss fights back to back for a set number of floors depending on your tier. Each mob starts fresh at 100% HP on each floor, whereas your HP and mana levels do not get refreshed. So you'll need to consider bringing a few health potions early on. It's a very good idea. Don't worry if you fail your first dungeon. Very, very common. I failed my first dungeon at tier 3 and I actually waited until a little bit later, and I did a down tier dungeon. So some dungeons you can down tier. The normal dungeons, for example, the mushroom dungeon, you can actually, once you get to tier 4, level 75, you can lower the tier on that dungeon and make it easier for you to complete. So of course, if you fail the dungeon, you've used up your gauntlet key, but you've not completed it, which means you've not completed the quest for Seeker Mara. So how do you get more gauntlet keys? Now, early on, and in fact, to be honest, throughout the whole game, gauntlet keys are probably best farmed from bosses, but only certain bosses actually drop gauntlet keys. And the first one that does so in the game is the Red Demon Knight that we can see here, our good friend. And I'm going to try take him down. Now, to give you a quick overview of my character, I'm level 75, but I'm still a paladin. I've got 194 attack. You can see my gear here. Full set of rune, an ankh, an ogre axe, some rubbish accessories. That will give you a kind of comparison for your character, perhaps, if you are around a similar level. Because you shouldn't be scared to go and attack these bosses in Lythryn Woods as a new player. I recommend getting the gnome pet. That's a tier 4 pet, I think, or tier 3 actually. I think it's tier 3 because I've only just hit tier 4. So that's a tier 3 pet and really nice supplementary damage. You can see even doing more damage than me, or roughly the same. And the other thing to note is that the Gauntlet Key is not actually a guaranteed drop, unfortunately, from these bosses, unless you have a little bit of luck gear, for example, a dowsing rod. Because as you see, we did not get a Gauntlet Key, I'm afraid. So what I'll do is, well, I was going to explain the nice tactic early on is basically going up and down Lythryn, farming bosses, because of course when you kill a boss, it does respawn in the area. And if you're around this sort of level, it's pretty decent for leveling up. So we'll get rid of that, and there's another Demon Knight down there, so we'll go kill that and hopefully get a nice shiny Gauntlet Key to show for it. I'm just gonna skip this battle. So here we go. Pray for me. Oh, well, we leveled up at least. Now, if you can get at least a dowsing rod, I'm going to show you the difference it does make, because I can almost guarantee you that killing this on my main character is going to drop a Gauntlet Key, and there you have it. So you don't need so much luck increase on gear to guarantee the Gauntlet Key drops, but in the early game, you know, you don't have any resources, you don't have any dowsing rods or anything, so you will have to kill 1 or 2 bosses to get the Gauntlet Keys. And I'm going to just show, I just type in Gauntlet Key in our codex, we can filter out the bosses that do in fact drop Gauntlet Keys. So as we said, starting off with the Demon Knight at tier 3, then at tier 4 you have the Carman's Gargoyle that exists out in the world. At tier 5 we have two world bosses that drop keys, that's the Griffin and the Death Worm. And then tier 6 you have Carman up in the mountains of Jotunheim that drops keys. And of course there are bosses that only exist in dungeons that also drop keys. For example, the Draugr Lord tier 3, Ancient Draugr Lord tier 6, Balor Worm tier 5, and the Gargui at tier 4. They all drop keys. Twilight Knight as well also drops keys. So even though they drop keys, you need key to enter the dungeon in the first place, right? So farming world bosses is going to be your best way to get Gauntlet Keys. It will get easier the higher level you go, the more dowsing rods you can pick up. Dowsing rods, you can get them from shops. So if you are doing a farming session, just be sure to pick up a dowsing rod. Or even if you're lucky with clickables and you get a Shrine of Luck, that would also guarantee you the Gauntlet Key drops from the bosses out in the world. You can also buy Gauntlet Keys in the rune shop in these item packs. So you get some Dilute Demonics, some hammers, some Gauntlet Keys, 10 Gauntlet Keys there for £3.60, another 10 Gauntlet Keys here. So I would suggest that the Gauntlet Key are not bringing up the value of these item packs, by the way. If I show you how many Gauntlet Keys I've got on my tier 10 character here, right here, 1270, 1270 Gauntlet Keys. And that is basically, that is pretty much 99.9% all from farming world bosses. That's how I got to tier 10 first, of course, and the amount of bosses that you kill later on that drop Gauntlet Keys vastly increases. You can also get Gauntlet Keys from your daily login rewards. Unfortunately, I can't show that to you from this screen, but you may have noticed that by now. Once you get above tier 3, you can get Gauntlet Keys from daily logins. And the sort of final place that you can get keys sort of early to mid game, and of course in the later game, is actually raids. So specifically kingdom raids, they do drop keys. And the thing about raids is, as long as you do at least 1 hit point of damage, so I did 1700 damage there, but as long as I did 1 hit point, just 1 damage on any raid boss, that would get me in the drop pool for potentially getting items such as Gauntlet Keys and other useful things like experience potions. Some bosses also drop dowsing rods as well. So even if there's a raid that is higher tier than your character, you won't necessarily get the gear that the raid drops. However, the smaller items like the Gauntlet Keys, the dowsing rods, the potions, you're still going to be able to get them. So I recommend, if you haven't joined a kingdom yet, try and find a kingdom that's roughly matching you in your playing activity. It's good to play with people sort of as active as you are. Otherwise, you know, a little bit further down the line, there might be some animosity between people. But you definitely want to join a kingdom. A lot of the event raids drop Gauntlet Keys as well. So get involved, hit raids, and that is a little bit of nice passive Gauntlet Key income, should we say. How cool is this dungeon, by the way? Did you know there was a dungeon here in northeast Lythryn? Here you go, 1 Gauntlet Key. This is a Mystic Cave themed dungeon. I will be doing a video shortly on all the different dungeon types in Aethric, so, you know, stay tuned. Stay tuned for that. Massive thanks to my Patreon and Twitch supporters, you Arisen Orna legends. Keep me going. Thanks to you, my good friend, for watching the video as well. Any questions or further thoughts, please drop a comment down below. I'll get to them as soon as I can. Please like and subscribe for more Gauntlet Key and more Gauntlet, more dungeon content in Hero of Aethric from me. I'm Shabash. See you in the next one. Ciao.